Welcome to The Shift with Mike and Joe. This is episode 12, and welcome Shea Springer of Sweetfoot Studios.
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming, man.
Thanks for having me.
Heck yeah, dude. We are excited. I know I am. I think Mike is too.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
took
dude.
my shoes off.
I mean, this is going to be probably the best episode yet. We've got this really awesome microphone. What kind of microphone is it again?
It's a JZ Black Hole BH1S.
Heck yeah,
I want to
dude.
say.
That's exactly what I thought it was too.
I was thinking it had the S on the end.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's super cool looking, and it's going to sound awesome.
That's what the S stands for. Super cool.
Super cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Welcome.
Thanks.
We are very excited to have you, and Sweetfoot Studios.
Yep.
You were in Easton.
Yep.
Now you're not. Is that correct?
No, I'm still
Still in
in.
Easton.
You just changed locations.
Yeah, I'm about 3 minutes around the corner from the old
Oh.
location.
I
Yeah.
didn't even know that.
Yeah.
So pretty close.
Yeah, you haven't been to the new place.
I have not, man.
Oh, you got to come by sometime.
Yeah, I would love to. The old spot was really cool, but it's been
It's been
probably been longer than I am thinking since I've been there.
Like
we
8
moved-
years.
How long ago was the lockdown? Because that's
5 years.
5 years ago. So it's been about 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I came when you had literally just moved. Like you still had stuff piled up, and
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, it was
Still trying
like
to
you
figure
had
out
just got the basics set up, and yeah, it was like up and running, but not. I'm sure now it's like knowing
it's
you,
like
it's all organized and
Yeah, over time you figure out like all the annoying little things you hadn't considered, and
Yeah.
it gets better and better every session when you.
that's what I've been waiting for. I'm like, I'm gonna let Shea get it all worked out, and I'm gonna come back.
There you go.
It was too unorganized before.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna wait 5 years and come back.
It was so cool though. I mean, I remember walking in there the first time and like, dude, this is a cool spot for sure. All the vintage equipment and I hate the word vibe, but it had a cool vibe. You know, there's really no other word.
It was
for
a unique spot. I always tried to keep it. I always had people saying it felt like they were just in their friend's living room.
Yeah.
And I tried to make sure it stayed like that because I think that's makes people feel comfortable.
It did have like a mad scientist thing happening too, though.
Yeah,
Like,
eventually I had that workbench in the
I like that.
control room that was just like always covered in random electronics.
I pictured you like after hours, like hunched over, like soldering things till your fingers bled.
Oh yeah.
With like
Latvian
heavy metal
microphones.
music playing and like.
So
solder.
did you move homes when you moved the studio to your house?
Yeah, so we weren't really even thinking about like buying a house really, but we were renting a house from my wife's sister, and we were kind of figuring out that it wasn't going to be like a long-term solution. So we're looking to move, but we weren't looking necessarily to like make a huge investment. But we just found the house on like Zillow and was like, we should just go look at this because it's cool looking, and not really thinking we would be interested in it. But when we went and looked at it, we're like, oh, this would be perfect to be used as a studio. So,
Right.
we kind of realized that we probably weren't going to find another house that was like that perfect of a fit. And so we decided to jump on it. And
That's awesome. So is it, I mean, I'll have to go to actually like see it in person, but I'm assuming it's set up. You've got like your control room and your recording room. Do you have like more than that? You got like isolation booths and stuff?
yeah, so the house is like this weird split level, but the main recording space is like the living room and the kitchen and dining room are all like one big open floor plan space. I don't know how long it is, but it's like 35 feet or something. You know, It's like pretty deep, but it has like a vaulted like chalet ceiling.
Nice.
It's like wood paneling that goes from maybe 6 feet up to like 15 or something.
Oh, okay.
So it's like the ceiling isn't parallel to the floor, which is kind of beneficial for like avoiding
Acoustics.
standing waves and stuff. And then like the living room's carpeted, but the dining room is all hardwood floors and like hard surfaces and stuff. So you can record in the living room, and it's like all the close mics are real dry sounding, but then you can put room mics out on the livelier side. And
Oh,
get,
that's cool.
You know, it's kind of the best of both worlds.
Nice.
Which is fun for, having options down the road and like how you're going to mix something.
Did you notice like a big change in like when you're listening back to things you've recorded in the new place? Did they sound a lot different than they did
for sure? Yeah, all the like you learn a room over time and you like learn like, well, it's got this like resonance here and there's kind of a cancellation at this frequency and you kind of learn to work around that. And then when you get into a new space, everything is different and you have to kind of reassess and like figure out how to work in that room. And so it was definitely some adjustments, but it was generally an improvement over what I was working with before.
That's awesome, man. I'm sure it's probably a lot nicer like to not have to go anywhere too. Like you're already
the commute got even shorter.
Yeah. That's
where
awesome.
do you cook food?
In the kitchen, which is kind of a problem because
it's in the kitchen.
Well, it's like all attached to the same space.
Right.
So like I have to, every time I'm done with my mics, I have to put them in like a case with like a lid and everything. Get like fryer grease. Capsules.
That's the life of a studio owner though, I guess.
Yeah.
Especially where your studio's at your house.
Yeah. Most people aren't cooking in their tracking room.
Right. Yeah. When I originally like asked that question, it didn't occur to me that like it's probably just like your whole house. You got stuff like set up everywhere.
So like that's like probably 60% of the house is just that one like big open space. And then we have our bedroom. But then downstairs in the basement is where the control room is. And it's got like a snake that goes up to the living room. But then there's kind of like a middle floor. Like halfway from the basement to the living room, there's like a landing, that has a couple rooms off of it.
Oh, wow.
So there's like 2 guest rooms that we use as like isolation rooms.
Okay.
So, when I have full bands, I'll put the amp, like the speaker cabinets in those rooms so they're not bleeding in all the drum mics and all that stuff.
That sounds awesome. That sounds like perfect.
That's when we saw it, we're like, it's like I've ticked all the boxes. So
is your wife a big part of like, does she help you with Sweetfoot Studios a lot?
Yeah, she handles a lot of the like correspondence and scheduling and like invoicing and stuff like that. Because I'm terrible at that stuff.
I try to get my fiance to help me do that stuff. She's like, no. I'm not helping you with that.
If the AI could come and take that job, please.
Yeah.
That would be wonderful.
It's a lot, man. I mean, I will get an inquiry and then like I'll respond and then like a few days goes by and I'm like, oh shit, did they respond back? You know what I mean? And I try to make a habit of like looking at those inquiries every day, but I forget.
For me, the thing that throws the curveball at me every day is that there's like, multiple email addresses, phone number, message, like Google Voice, and then like Facebook, Instagram. It's just like so many places where you have to go check an inbox, and so easy for one of them to like go under your radar.
Yeah, I try to like funnel everything through the contact form on my website, but it's impossible to make that work perfectly,
because you never know how somebody's going to find you too. Like it might be like somebody you went to high school with who's like, I think this guy I know has a studio, and then gives their friend my number, and it's like my old landline from my parents.
Right. Yeah, I've tried, like I've gotten a couple inquiries on like Instagram and my first thought is this is going to get all confusing, so I'll think like, okay, I'm just going to send them the link to my contact form, but then I'm like, are they going to lose interest because they just hit me up and I responded and now I'm telling them to contact me a different way. So I'm like, it's always a question, like, should I just continue to communicate with them through the way that they hit me up, or should I try to,
it sucks that takes up so much of your brain power. Like, the thing I'm good at has nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
I should be focused on this project that they want to do. You know what I mean? Not how to talk to me.
Gosh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, what do you got, Mike?
So, I mean, I want to know the history, man. Like, how did you find this path? What did you do before?
Okay, so I've like played music on my own, when I was in probably in middle school. I got started getting interested.
How old are you now, just for the
39
viewers? Okay.
Cool. so when I was in middle school, I played like trumpet in the band, you know, and my dad played, he was a hobbyist musician. So he always had guitars around the house. And so he got me started on guitar, and I wanted to play in a talent show, in like the middle school talent show. And like, I didn't have a band or anything.
What song did you play? Do you remember?
So here's the thing. I didn't know, you know, didn't have really anything prepared. And, but my dad found, like, what was it called? It was Guitar Tracks, I think is what it was called.
Okay.
And it was like the precursor to Sonar.
Okay. Yeah.
And he like found like a shareware version of it or something, like open source kind of thing. And, downloaded it, put it on like that family computer. And I just fucked around on that and like kind of constructed something that I could just solo over, you know.
Nice. A self-made backing track.
Yeah, I wish I could go back and find it, because I'm sure it's ridiculous, but
it's an 11/8.
It wasn't anything like super complicated.
Changing keys every 5 seconds.
You know, I had no idea like what kind of music I liked. You know, when you're in middle school, you just listen to like your parents' record collection, and nowadays I'm sure it's totally different.
And Nirvana, I'm sure.
Yo, definitely like Nirvana. I mean, when I was really little, it was like Metallica.
Yeah.
And, you know, like
Megadeth.
Anyway, I'm way off topic.
Just fall asleep to Sad But True.
But I got so I got the recording software. That was my first like dip into like recording stuff, and like me and a friend would just like fuck around on it and write stupid, you know, like little ditties and stuff.
Yeah.
And then when I got into like in high school, and I started playing in a band, and there weren't any studios around at the time, so we're just like, let's try to figure out how to record it at home. And so we just recorded in my bedroom.
This was like middle school, you said?
This had been high school.
Okay.
And, you know, I had started playing shows and meeting other people in bands, and they would hear that we recorded in my bedroom, so they would come over. And so I kind of got known among like a circle of people who all had bands.
Right.
Like the kid with the recording studio in his bedroom.
And Easton was there's a pretty good bit of musicians that came out of Easton.
Yeah,
good musicians.
We had a couple venues when I was in high school, and it was like every weekend you could go downtown and there'd be like 2 shows playing.
I think I met you at the Night Cat. You were running sound at, I don't know if it was called that then. It's been a lot of different things, but
yeah, it was. But that was one of the like big venues.
Yeah, that was a good spot.
It was like 40 chairs that they would pull out.
But it was like a good place to go see. Like, I mean, they had decent artists there, and like it was like original music a lot, most if not all the time. And yeah, I mean, I thought it was a cool spot. It was like the Avalon Light or something.
Yeah.
Kind of, you know.
Yeah. Because it was a coffee shop first and foremost.
Yeah.
Like, they just had the stage was like 5 inches tall, you know, in the corner of the dining room. But
right.
They had a PA system that they kept there, and Mark Mangold, who booked I think he also booked Ram's Head, one of the Ram's Heads.
Yeah, the Annapolis one, I think.
He would work these deals with artists that he booked there. He'd be like, we'll book you at the Ram's Head, but you also have to play Night Cat.
Yeah.
So they had these people coming to this coffee shop that had absolutely no business in a coffee shop because they were...
We opened
like
for...
too much, you mean? Like...
Yeah, like Neil Young's wife played.
Oh, wow.
And like parked her tour bus across the street.
Yeah, it was
crazy.
like bigger artists. It was kind of cool.
And then she was on Jimmy Kimmel Live the next night.
Wow.
Like wearing the same pair of leather pants.
Right. That's
with
crazy.
a night shirt. Yeah, we opened for Gangster Grass, the band that wrote the theme for Justified.
I remember that show.
That show, yeah.
Was it Gangster Grass or Gangsta Grass?
Probably Gangsta Grass.
Yeah.
It was like bluegrass,
like rap.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
Huh.
And we played a few others. I don't know if that's the one I met you at, but that's the one that sticks out in my head as the Night Cat or whatever.
I actually remember, I think I met you when it was you playing, I think you might have been the headliner.
Oh yeah, maybe we did do one.
Because I remember that Univox amp there.
Yeah, I still have that thing.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
And you had it was like what was it? It was like a flat top, solid, or like a hollow acoustic electric with like a real thin body.
Chet Atkins, probably.
Is that what that was?
You still play one of those, don't you?
Yeah, I'm always in pursuit of a acoustic guitar that feels like an electric guitar. Yeah, it's not. It's a never-ending pursuit. But anyway,
when did you start Sweetfoot Studios?
So that was, like when I was in college, I would come home and like pick up gigs running sound at Nightcat. And after I got out of college, I worked for a little while in my degree is in industrial design, so I worked in.
I was going to ask if you went to school for audio engineering.
I was just kind of reading about it. It was like the thing I did in my all my spare time.
It was your hobby,
doing like music stuff, and so I went out and worked in design for a little while. And
New Balance.
Yeah, I worked in New Balance for a little while, and then I worked.
Did you design these shoes?
Not those. Probably nothing that's on the market anymore. This is like 15 years ago.
That's pretty interesting. You worked in design with New Balance?
Yeah. I designed like 2 models that like made it out in the market.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
They sell them for like a year and then they discontinue it.
Which models do you remember? They're all like numbered and.
One of them was like a women's running shoe. And the other one was what they call trail running shoe, which is it's like running shoe for off-road.
Off-road running?
Like for your feet.
I do a lot of that off-road running.
Yeah.
To the forest.
I think it was I may be wrong on this, 581 or something. But
that is interesting, man. I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Okay, so
that ended up not working out though, and so I moved back to Easton, and I still knew all the people in the music scene from when I was working at Nightcat. I was picking those gigs back up again, and Contavious Jones was
he's amazing.
Yeah, love him. He had been hearing all the stuff I've been working on, and he had a friend who wanted to record a record named Brooks Long, and he had told Brooks, like, you should just call Shea and he might do it for like really cheap.
Right.
At the time I wasn't even charging for it. I was just, doing it for fun.
Yeah.
But KJ was kind of encouraged me to like start charging for it and connected me with Brooks, and he actually had like a little bit of a budget for a record. So he did come over and just recorded in my bedroom at my parents' house though.
That's wild.
The record's called Making Out to Otis Redding. It's up on Spotify. It's fantastic, like kind of soul revival stuff.
Nice.
Like Sam Cooke, Otis Redding, like that kind of vibe. But then I took the money from that record, and KJ and I split rent, like the deposit and rent on the space that I ended up working out of.
Okay.
And originally it was going to be a place where we just kind of both used it, whenever we wanted. But I was there every day, and KJ came in maybe, once a month. And I just felt bad asking for his like half of the rent eventually. So I just took it over. But it was like $300 a month.
Right.
It was so cheap.
And around what year was that?
That would have been 2011 or 12. And yeah, that was the beginning of it. And your record was one of the first projects that I worked on. And
oh, really? I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah. I think the very first session was a band called the Aughts, and they were like a punk band. And then I think you were like one of the.
Nice.
Isn't that the name of the like the Black Keys side project band? Or they're the Aux?
It definitely wasn't the.
It wasn't that
Black Keys side project band.
Their band. What's the guy's name? The Black Keys guy.
Dan Auerbach.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he has like a side project called the Aux, like with a K, not AUX. I think. Anyway, it just made me think of that.
Anyway, that's the roadmap. That's how I got there.
Cool.
That's cool, man.
And how
It's really
how many days a week nowadays? Like, are you every day? Do you have somebody coming in pretty much, or is it like?
I don't have like somebody coming in every day, but I'm working on stuff every day.
I guess you got mixing and all
like
that,
it's, and I do have some other like streams of income. Like I do run live sound for a couple venues and do some live streaming and stuff for people.
Oh,
which
cool.
is like kind of peppered into the schedule. But most days I'm maybe once or twice a week I've got somebody coming in to like track something, and then the rest of the time, I'm usually editing, cleaning that stuff up, and then mixing and all the kind of back end like homework stuff you have to do.
So do you build that into your, like when you do it, it's been a while and I'm sure it's changed since I was there, but do you do an hourly rate? Like if someone was going to record with you, you charge them an hourly rate for the recording time and then mixing as well? Or do you build that into the price of the recording time? Like when you charge your rate, do you charge a separate rate for mixing, or is that part like built into the, do you know what I mean?
So what I usually try to do for people is give them like an estimate of how much time I think it'll take, and then it's billed hourly within that. So
Okay.
and I've been trying to move my tracking, like excuse me, when I'm doing tracking sessions, I try to make it like a full day or a half day. I might move to just full day. Because generally, like if you're going to do a tracking session, that's the only
kind of hard to do
get
in a
done
half a day. I would
Yeah,
imagine.
you're kind of burnt out at the end of that, and so I'll usually kind of have a meeting with the client and say like, get a sense of what they're looking to accomplish, and then based on that, say they want to do an EP, it's 4 songs, right? Depending on how they want to approach that, we'll figure out how many days of tracking it will likely take. So we'll say it'll be this many days of tracking, and then per song, I try to budget 4 or 5 hours for mixing.
Okay.
Try to, for a long time, I could never really put a number on like how long it was going to take to mix stuff.
Yeah, I imagine that's pretty tough.
But I, over time, kind of figured out that the average is about 4 or 5 hours. And so like some projects I'll go over and I'll end up like kind of eating some of the cost of it. And then some projects it takes less. And I generally, if it takes less time than I've quoted for, I'll charge them for the lower price, whatever the actual hour is. But just for convenience, to give people kind of a sense of like what they're signing up for, I try to say like, this is how much I think it's going to cost.
Okay.
But then also try to make it understood that it can change depending on how things develop and like, because oftentimes what will happen is people will get into the process and then they start getting really excited about the songs because they're hearing their songs like presented in a way that they'd never heard it before, and they start seeing all the potential of it. And then they're like, let's add another day on so we can get some strings on.
And you're like, hell yeah.
I'm all about it, but I'm never like pushing people towards
Right.
It tends to happen when people hear their songs like sounding good. They're like, oh wow, let's like keep going on this. So
I remember, I would ask you what year that was, and I think it was around like 2014 or 15. I think it was like 2014 when I found you. I don't remember how. I think I just Googled studio.
Maybe, I get a fair number of people like that.
Yeah, because I don't remember any particular person like telling me about you. But anyway,
It's probably me. I was in Heavy Fred.
No, this was actually even before I met you. I didn't know you in 2014.
Okay.
It might even been 13 because it was before my son was born. He was born in 14. Yeah. Anyway, that same thing happened to me. Like when I came in there and then we recorded some stuff, and I remember like sitting there and you played it back, and I was just like, wow, that is amazing. Like, it was just so cool to hear everything so polished. And I mean, it was not, over processed or anything like that. It was just recorded really cleanly. And it was such a cool thing. It was a very like inspiring thing. Like, yeah, let's do 3 more albums now. Obviously I didn't have that much material, but it's a cool thing to hear that when you've never heard it before.
Totally. Yeah. And
you've only ever heard yourself. Thank you, Mike. You've only ever heard yourself like sitting on the couch playing an acoustic and singing, outwardly, and then you hear it back and it's like, man.
Or just like
cool.
recording yourself with your phone and then back. And,
right.
Which even back then probably wasn't really much of a thing. Or if it was real junky. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I had like a iPhone 6 or something then, and I'm pretty. I do still have. I should probably delete it on YouTube. A video of myself like playing a song with just my old cell phone, whatever I had then, and the quality's terrible. But not only like, but like we used a click track, so like everything was in time and like cleaned up, and like the compression was used properly. It was just a cool thing. It's a really neat experience. You guys keep chatting while I restart this.
Okay. Do you offer when people come to you, like I'm thinking, I have a student at Y River Upper School who I actually referred to you. I don't know if she's called you or not. Her name's Cole, but she was wondering, and I was like, not really sure what you're doing nowadays with this. But as far as producing, is that something you offer, or is that more like, okay? So you're
primarily what I have moved to like marketing myself as is like, that's the core of the core value that I think I bring to it.
Okay.
My like guidance, which is ultimately what a producer does.
Yeah, like ideas and do you do like pre-production with people nowadays, or is it not so much?
The process has kind of gotten condensed. I feel like I've done a few projects where I did like a pre-production phase, but the way I've been doing it lately, last couple of projects I've done, will kind of do the pre-production in a way that it could possibly be used as part of the final product. So like, for instance, I just wrapped up a record with Poppy Blue Eyes, John Marvel. And the way that process worked, it was a little bit different than other stuff I'd worked on, because a lot of stuff I work on is like full band, and they'll come in and record like the foundation, and then we'll do overdubs.
Right.
And there's less room for like a producer in a setting like that. You're kind of just picking the tones.
Yeah.
And like, it's a little more on the engineering side.
Right.
Full band. But Poppy Blue Eyes is mainly John Marvel. Like, he's the songwriter. So I would have him, I'd mic him up as though we were going to do a keeper take, with a, and the way he's used to performing is playing guitar and singing at the same time.
Right.
If I tried to get him to do either one by itself, he wouldn't really perform the way he's comfortable, and it wouldn't sound like him.
Right.
So I mic him up with, a vocal mic and a guitar mic, and I have him run through the songs. We'll try it to a click track, and actually with him, the click track was, he could follow it, but like he was having trouble keeping his groove. And so what I would do is I would get up like Addictive Drums, which is like the fake drum plug in, easier. And I'd just finger drum along with him for a minute. I'd have him play the song, maybe a verse and a chorus, to get a sense of the groove that he's kind of implying with the guitar. We'd lay down the MIDI drum track, just as a placeholder, and then
just loop it or whatever.
Just loop that. And
That's a good idea.
When he played to that, he could like really groove, and he was, you could tell he was just like, he wasn't thinking about like following the click. He was thinking about playing the song.
Right. It's much more like an actual drummer, like just playing along to the guitar player.
Totally. Yeah. And it was the way I mic'd it up the way I would mic it up for the keeper. So on some of the songs, what ended up on the record is that, acoustic guitar and vocal performance with all the other stuff added around it.
Yeah.
And since it was to a click, we could do a lot of overdubs and stuff really easily. And
yeah, that's interesting. So when you asked the question about pre-production, to be honest, like I didn't really know exactly what you meant. So it's kind of just like, are they kind of like, generally speaking, is it kind of like a scratch track? Is that what you mean when you say pre-production?
Well, I think traditionally, like if you go back like 30 or 40 years when people were working on tape, like once you start burning tape, as they called it, like you're spending, I don't know, I never worked on tape, so like I don't know the prices, but I know it's like
you're spending money,
a ton of money every like second that you're using it. And every time you re-record it, you're losing a little bit of quality, and it's like, it's this whole thing. So they used to do like demos used to be a much more necessary part of the process, where you would do a version on just like at your home studio on your like cassette recorder or whatever, you know, and you would work out all of the like, you would use the demos as a chance to kind of like work on the structure of the song.
Yeah, like it needs a bridge or it needs another.
Yeah, or like there's a movement there that's clashing, or like this needs more dynamics here. Like that kind of like creative like decisions.
Right.
You weren't making those in the studio when you're burning tape. You're making those ahead of time in the pre-production process.
Gotcha.
And that way, once you got into the studio, the arrangement's all set, all the decisions are already made, and you're just executing it. But like now that we don't work on tape, that's not as necessary.
Yeah.
And it's still nice sometimes to do some of that stuff ahead of the time, but now you can kind of, like that initial session where we recorded the vocal and guitar, that was the demo. And then we took that, and like some of those songs, I'm like cutting sections or rearranging like when sections happen, or like, you know, going back and retracking stuff. But ultimately, it's still like working off of that original demo.
Yeah.
But there's no reason that has to be like a disposable track, you know? So
yeah, that makes sense. The question that popped into my mind when you were talking about recording John and like a performer that prefers to perform singing and playing at the same time, what's your technique to isolate those tracks?
how nerdy do you want me to get?
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe not too nerdy, but like, you know, can you give us like not to give away your secrets either, but that's like when I record stuff at my home studio, you know, that's always a battle that I'm fighting. So yeah, I just kind of want to see what your process is.
I'm like buying time to think of how to answer that too. So I found that the biggest battle, more so than like complete isolation, because isolation is kind of like complete isolation is impossible. You're never going to get that. So
when you're recording in that way,
yeah, because the mics are just too close. But the biggest thing that really will like make it unusable is phase interaction between the two mics. So you have to kind of, that's usually what I'm listening for when I'm positioning the mics, like trying to get the relative distance such that the bleed isn't causing phase cancellation.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm usually using figure eights for both. And I'll position the figure eight for the guitar so that the null of the figure eight's pointed at their mouth. And then on the vocal mic, it's the opposite. It's the null is pointed at the guitar. And that'll give you the best isolation that you can. I mean, that's as isolated as you can get it.
Yeah.
But there's always still bleed. And so then it becomes like which one of the sources is more important. So if it's the vocal, what I'll try to do is I'll try to get the distance to both mics from the mouth the same, you know, and that might be moving the guitar mic a little closer and the vocal mic further away. There's a few ways to accomplish that, but if the vocal is a priority, and usually the vocal is the, like, if you're going to have phase cancellation, that's where you'll hear it, you know? And you can usually mute the acoustic guitar track and re-record it if you need to, if there's too much vocal bleed in that. But the other way around, like, doesn't tend to work because you'll hear the vocal bleed. Like,
yeah,
probably most artists can play the guitar overdub better than they can do a singing overdub. I think, right? Without playing, it's hard to project or whatever, or feel like that emotion.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's and I think a lot of casual listeners are listening to strictly the vocal.
Yeah.
So like, if there's something weird with the vocal, that's generally more of a deal breaker than something weird with the acoustic guitar, which you can often, it's easier to fix. Yeah. So anyway, that's the condensed answer.
Okay. No, that's good. A good tidbit of information for sure. I mean, I don't really mess with it a whole lot, but there have been some times when I wanted, so a thought I had was, the videos I've done of myself, I'm trying to think of like which way to go to, right? It takes a minute to gather your thoughts with this kind of stuff, but like I've always recorded the audio live at the same time.
Yep.
And then I thought to myself, well, it might be cool to, record the audio first or after, just separately from the video, you know, so I can polish it a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then, sync it to a video. That might be a cool thing that I haven't done yet. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to start with the audio, and I tried recording a couple songs, and like that was the issue, that I ran into. Like, man, because I want to sing and play at the same time.
Yeah.
But you end up with so much bleed. And then like, I really despise auto-tune, too much of it, but I do.
There's times when you want to use it.
Yeah, and like, it's good to have a little bit of just to kind of catch some stuff that's off slightly. But I always get this weird doubling effect, from that guitar bleed, the guitar mic, my voice bleeding into that, and so then I kind of gave up on it.
So one way around that I've kind of used a few times, and I used on some of the songs on the Poppy Blue Eyes record. And actually, I'm working on a record with Chris Hahnemann right now.
Yes. Yeah.
We're doing some of this on his record. You do the original, that like foundation track, where it's guitar and vocal together. And then you have them do another pass where it's just guitar to that track.
Okay.
And then you take the initial track out and do a vocal to the new guitar.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
And what you get there is it's much more, because a lot of it's just about how comfortable they are.
Yeah.
And like
more natural that way, I guess.
Capturing the vibe on the first one and then refining it with the second pass. Because it sounds redundant. It's like.
But now you've got two isolated tracks.
But now you have two isolated tracks, and it's still got it still breathes like a, like a natural track. And I just find that it kind of walks them through that process in a way that they're never feeling like a fish out of water.
Yeah. No, that's great, because I have so my thought was, okay, well, I'll just record the guitar first to a click track, right?
Yeah.
And like, it's playing to a click track it's not easy.
Yeah.
It is not easy.
You can do that process without a click track. That's the nice thing.
Yeah, right.
Like, because they're just playing to themselves, so it's kind of easy to follow themselves because they just played it.
Or they just did it. Yeah. No, that's great, man. That's stuff that you learn after doing it for a long time, and working with people.
And that's why you hire a producer.
Yeah, right.
You pick up these like weird little tricks, and every time you run into an obstacle, it's like, all right, I remember something that we figured out on a previous project that got us through this obstacle.
So you mentioned Chris Hahnemann. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but
I've been saying Hahnemann. I think that's how he says it.
He hasn't corrected you yet.
He hasn't corrected me yet.
Well, I've been saying Hahnemann. He hasn't corrected me either.
He might just
Chris,
really
which
polite.
one is it? But yeah, one of the first videos that I did where we didn't record live audio was Chris's video that man, now I can't think of the name of the song, but it was your audio, that I don't know. Did you ever see the video?
I did. Yeah. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It was a fun one, because not only did we use, pre-recorded audio that was recorded in a studio, we also did like, a little bit. We tried to tell more of a story rather than it just being a performance video.
Yeah.
We did some B-roll. We shot the performances in like 3 different spots in his house. You know what I mean? So it was kind of it was indoors. So I had like video lighting. You know what I mean? We weren't just using natural light. It was a fun one, and it was kind of an accomplishment for me, because it was a step up from just, a musician sitting by the beach playing their guitar, which those videos are awesome too.
Yeah.
I love doing those, but it was more of a
Music video.
I don't want to say movie, but it was definitely not just a video,
You're kind of utilizing some of the things you can do with a video that are beyond what you could just do on stage.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah, absolutely. And having that, not having to worry about recording the audio at the same time was really nice for me, because it let me think more about the lighting and the different angles and spend more time on those things,
Well, if you're used to doing the audio and the video yourself, like those are both full-time jobs.
Yeah.
And like on a professional like movie set, that's like multiple people working on each of those things.
It's amazing that I've never screwed any of it up. You know what I mean? It's really
very
that's an
impressive.
accomplishment.
Well, I mean, I guess we're not talking about a podcast.
We told the story on the last episode about how I screwed up the audio.
Yeah. Have you ever had any big like fiascos, like where you lost a whole day's of work or something, like, or even worse than that? Or
Yeah.
how do you handle that sort of stuff?
How many do I mean, I've like lost hard drives and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, fortunately, I was able to recover a lot of that stuff. There was one project where I lost like a whole day of tracking, like full band tracking, and I just had to come back in and retrack it.
Yeah.
But they played it better the second
I was
time.
gonna say it probably worked out. Yeah.
That's always helpful.
How long do you keep stuff? Like, do you still have my stuff?
Yeah. So
Yeah, all right. I got to finish some of that. It's not all done yet. It's got so old. It's like there's like a point where, and this is my fault just for like having kids and losing track of it all. But like,
dare you?
I know, right?
Yeah, it's like when you like lose track, you like lose touch with the project. You know what I mean? Like all that initial like magic and everything, it's sort of like you forget. It's like I kind of remember where I was going with this, but it's, you know, so it's like I'm almost kind of the point where I'm like, I just want to redo it, you know, or whatever I'm gonna do with it. We just start fresh, and probably you're better at it all now anyway. So
I've definitely learned a lot since then. It does kind of go full circle though, and that not only do you forget what you were going for, but you also like you're no longer hyper fixated on the details you were fixated on then. You can actually listen to it objectively for the first time.
Yeah,
that is a good point.
I'm working on some songs that I recorded with my band Pony Bones like 10 years ago, and like they just
Pony Bones. I was trying to remember the name of that band. Yeah.
And they just sat around. We like went to a studio in Baltimore and like did a bunch of like well done tracking, or at least the drums, the bass are well done. My scratch guitar is dog shit, but
that's interesting that you went somewhere else to do it.
Yeah, because just to try it out, because I'm so used to doing it all myself,
right?
And I was like, what would it be like to just not have to worry about all of that? Just focus on playing.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And I think it was a good move. Like now that I'm older and I know more about mixing and stuff, I went back and listened to it, and I was like, oh, this is actually usable stuff. So I'm finally finishing it, but it's nice to hear it. You know, at the time when I got it home, I was like, I don't know if we can use any of this stuff. It's all, I was focused on all these details that ultimately don't really matter. But
only the person recording it can tell. Yeah.
Right.
I
get that for sure.
So do you have like a time period where you're like, okay, I don't need to save this anymore, or do you just keep everything indefinitely? Or I
haven't been able to bring myself to delete anything.
Yeah, I would think that's a hard move to make.
Yeah. I try to keep it as long as I can. It gets it does eventually get unwieldy, because even like spinning disk hard drives have like a lifespan.
Sure, yeah.
They just stop working after a while.
Yeah.
The data gets corrupted,
Yeah, you got to get out the zip drive, the zip reader.
I don't have anything that old.
I still have like from music school, like I have like recordings I made. They're mostly like digital performer files and stuff, but like songs I wrote, and they're on like zip drives. And then I have like 4-track tapes that I made when I was like in high school that I can't, you put them in a regular cassette player, it doesn't work, so it's like, or it'll play like, I can't remember, I think it played like one of the tracks maybe or something. Does that sound? But you don't hear all the things, and it's like, and then I started looking at like Tascam 4-tracks, and they're like, they're expensive, dude. Like people
because there's still a market for them, because there's people who have those tapes around and they want to,
And people love like recording in old school ways too. Something nostalgic.
I spent hours on that, on like that Tascam 4x4 or whatever. And then when I figured out how you could like bounce the 4 tracks down to 1 or down to 2, oh man, it was like a whole new world. Did you? I'm sure you messed with, or where did you enter the technological?
It was that Guitar Tracks software.
Okay, so you were right on your computer right in the beginning.
Oh, sorry, what's that?
You were from the computer right from the beginning.
From the top, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I eventually got interested in tape just because I found sometimes it's useful to like remove options, so that you have to like you can't get caught up in like editing and like trying to make something perfect. You have to just like commit. And there's something useful sometimes to in having that limitation, because it keeps you moving.
How do you deal with that when you have people come in? I'm sure you've had people come in that are just like overwhelmed by the limitless possibilities, and I'm sure you have to sort of find a role as in guiding them into like, okay, like this or this, because we can't do it all, kind of like.
Yeah,
I've had some of those experiences recently.
Yeah,
I think that's a lot of what I offer is like narrowing down the options to what's relevant.
okay,
because cool. Like a lot of people do have that tendency to kind of just spiral out, and they're like, we could do this, or we could do this, or we could do this, and it's like a lot of times what I'm trying to do is bring them into focus on one idea. And like, let's run with this one,
Yeah.
But it's different for everybody,
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm sure some people are worse with that than others,
Oh, yeah. I have some people that won't even want to do a second take. They'll just come in, they'll like do something, and they're like, that sounds amazing, it's perfect, like send it off, and I'm like, let's do one more take. Right. I think you could do that better, you know. And then you have other people who will work on a song, like a single song, for like multiple years, and never be satisfied with it, I
was gonna ask, like what's the percentage of like unfinished projects to projects that actually get completed?
It's better now than it used to be. When I was first starting out, it was like maybe 1 in 10 projects got finished. But since I've started doing it professionally, it's much higher, because people tend to like bother me about it until it's done.
Is it more than like 50%?
I would say maybe like, no, it's most of them get finished these days.
That's good.
There's like a handful that like a year or two ago, I got like really bunched up, where I like booked a whole bunch of like tracking dates back to back, and started like 5 projects at the same time. And like some of those haven't been finished because we just didn't circle back to them. But I still plan on finishing them someday.
Do you ever have somebody come in and they're like real excited and they have big plans, and then they record themselves and they hate it, and then they just never come back?
They go get a job at McDonald's.
Get a job at.
Well, I suck at this.
I had this one lady who came in, and she was getting married, and she wanted to record this Whitney Houston song to walk down the aisle to. Like she wanted to sing it and then play it while she walked down the aisle. So she plays this song. She has a backing track. We put it up, and she starts singing, and she's tone deaf, like 100% tone deaf. And I didn't even recognize what song it was, and we had to like pull up Melodyne, the pitch correction software, and I'm gonna try to like construct this melody. But I couldn't figure out what she was trying to say. Like, I couldn't figure out what the melody was supposed to be. Usually with like Melodyne, you can figure out, like, I could see what they're going for.
Just bring in Whitney Houston's voice in here.
Yeah. We had to go to YouTube, and I had to listen for a couple seconds to get, all right, that's what the melody's supposed to be, and then jump back over to Melodyne.
Oh, wow.
You were transcribing this.
I played it for her, and it's technically correct, but she'd just seen what I'd gone through to do it. And she was like, I can't play this. I wouldn't.
Do you ever have somebody come in and you're like, you should do something else? Like they're so bad where like you tell them like, hey, I don't want you to spend your money doing this. It's
less common than I thought it would be. But it does occasionally happen.
That's probably a hard thing to tell somebody.
I tend to try to get, sometimes you can kind of get a vibe for that, like just in the consultation before it gets to the studio. But yeah, we had, I don't know if I want to tell this story. I don't.
I hear you. Yeah. Yeah, man. So let's change. Let's go into more.
I can tell it with no names.
Just tell without names.
We had a session. The people involved will know exactly what I'm talking about. We had a session where we were tracking, working on a record, and the artist was like, I have a friend who plays trumpet. And they're gonna come and play on this record, and they've been talking about it since like day one, like,
right?
Because their friend was real excited about it. Their friend was like a super fan of the music, and just all they want to do is play. And so we're like a couple months into this process, and it was like finally the overdub day for the trumpet, and they drove a couple hours to get here, and they show up, and they're like, "Oh, can I use your trumpet?" And I was like, "Okay, yeah." And like, "Do you mind if I like take it out to the car and like warm up some?" I'm like, "Oh, okay."
I don't want you to hear me warming up.
Yeah. And we had some guitar overdubs before that, and then like the end of the day was going to be the trumpet. And so that finally it's time for them to play and like hit record. And me and the whole band are down in the control room. And in the studio, there's no direct line of sight from the control room to the tracking space. And the trumpet section comes up, and we just hear. And I'm like turning around, looking at the band, like
artsy.
Artsy. That's a different direction I thought they would go.
Bold.
So yeah, we had to gracefully figure out how to like navigate out of that situation. That was one of the most awkward experiences I've ever.
Yeah. Was the trumpet player understanding?
Did they not know?
Like, what are you talking about? It sounded amazing.
I think they were hoping some miracle would happen last minute, but like I could tell that they realized it wasn't going well. We're like, I was like, maybe they need to warm up a little bit more. Let's just, maybe they're nervous, let's give them a few passes. But then it became obvious, like, and then, we had to be like, I think we're going to try to do this line with a synthesizer. Let's try that real quick.
Yeah.
And we tried it with synth, and we're like,
I think my trumpet is broken.
I think this fits a lot better. Yeah.
We'll double it with the synth and then take the trumpet out.
So that's pretty funny. On a more positive note, what have been some of your favorite projects to work on?
Oh man, let me think. I mean, there was a project. Basically, the thing that I enjoy the most is like that reaction where people are like getting excited about their music, and then like the whole process of like the iterative process of like taking like a kernel of a song and like growing it into a full thing. So like I tend to enjoy projects where there's a lot of room for that. Daphne Ekman's record was one of those projects.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah.
And she had tons of, I mean, it's a long record to work on. Like to work on that many songs is exhausting because it's hard to really give each one its due process.
Yeah.
When you have like 12 songs, or I can't remember how many tracks are on that. But everybody in that band is like a brilliant performer and like an actual, like an artist, So it was really fun to get them. And like they were all fairly inexperienced in the studio. I think Tom, the guitarist, had done a lot of stuff in the studio, and Graham had been in some session stuff. But like,
was Jordan play drums on that? No.
Rob Ekman.
Oh, right, her brother.
Yeah,
okay.
he was in. He toured with like Good Charlotte.
Yeah, I think Rob.
I don't know.
Yeah, but maybe not studio work. That's different.
I was just going to comment on Graham real quick. Graham is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So much better than Jesse Kirchner.
Yeah, Jesse Kirchner really could take some lessons from.
Well,
that's a joke, Jesse.
Yeah.
The thing
You're
about
really good.
Working with Graham and Daphne is Graham has perfect pitch, and I think Daphne does too, or like quasi perfect pitch.
Yeah.
But like trying things out and like getting things laid down was like really fast with them. If we wanted to try an idea, we were focused on like hearing the idea and not like getting a good take.
Yeah.
Because they could just lay it down and it would be fine, and so like projects like that are really fun because you're not stuck in the weeds for like huge chunks of time. You're really living in the like creative,
right? Much more room for creativity in a project like that,
and it doesn't get stale. Because like if you have to do like, and this is the way I have to record myself when I sing, I have to do like 40 takes of like one verse, and
then you're sick of it,
and then I never want to hear it again. Right. And when things move quickly, you don't get stuck in the weeds like that, and that can be really fun.
That's cool, man. When the first time I ever heard her was at Cult Classic, right across the street, and it was the '70s tribute night, and we were doing CCR, and which
I wanted to come to that shit.
That was so much
bad.
fun. But she did Joni Mitchell.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I was like, I saw her name on there. I'm like, and I had never heard her before. And I'm like, damn, Joni Mitchell, that's bold. Like, she better be able to sing. And it like blew me away, dude. It was crazy. Like all those, notes that Joni Mitchell would hit and up and down and up. It like she nailed it.
Yeah. Yeah,
And the guitar playing was really good too.
That's the thing. Like, she's such a good singer that people like, I think, forget that she's also a really good guitarist.
Yeah. I just was like, holy shit, man.
And songwriter. I mean, it's like the whole package. Like, she just writes good songs.
Yeah.
Even like when she posts like free write things that she's like just like free writing in her bedroom, and she'll post it, and it's like, this is better than anything I've ever written ever. And it's just like her jocking around.
I haven't seen any of those. That sounds like a cool idea.
Yeah.
You got to be confident to do something like that.
I know, right? Maybe it's not really free write. Maybe she's like writes a song and they're like, yeah, I free wrote this. But I don't think so.
I'm sorry I got so many questions, Mike. I'll
go
stop
for it, dude. I love it. I love when Joe's got questions. They're always like good questions.
So that was one of your favorite projects to work on. How about like just the end result, like something that you thought like this sounds amazing, that you were just really proud of. Maybe the process was not so much fun, but like the end result was just awesome.
I'm trying to think of what Contavious' record that we did a while ago. That one it still holds up. But like some projects I go back and listen to, I'm like, damn, I would have done that differently now,
I think everybody's like that.
But that one, there's a few songs on there that I've like that I would do differently. But most of the songs on that record, I'm like, yeah, I think I got it right. And I like don't kick myself over them, which is nice.
Yeah, dude, one that sticks out to me, it was when I was there, so this was a long time ago. You had an unfinished Scribe song a lot of his stuff is like that real garage kind of stuff, but this was a slow song. I know
the song,
the name of it.
Big Nothing.
Is that the name of it?
And Soren Mattsson's playing guitar on it.
I don't know.
All of his stuff I'm super proud of.
Yeah.
Like but he's another artist who's just
nails it.
I mean, he nails it, but he's also just like, he thinks so deeply about everything. Every detail of what he does is considered and like intentional. And it's so cool to work with people like that.
I'm trying to like think of the line from the song. It's an awesome song. And
his songwriting is just next level. Like I met him at Nightcat years, around the same time I met you, Mike. And I remember the first time I heard him play, I was like, I'm going to have to work with this guy.
Got to get this guy.
Because like he writes, everything he writes is like brilliant.
Yeah. Well, it was a re-record. The version you were working on, I think he had already put this song out. So he was re-recording it with you, and I just remember hearing that you played it for us when we were like just hanging out in there, and I was like, man, this is incredible. Like, not just the song. I mean, it's such a, when you have a great song and a great artist, plus it's recorded really well and mixed, like,
and then on like nice studio monitors too.
You're in a room where the frequencies have been,
you were literally in the room it was recorded.
Yeah, right. It was just that really blew me away. Man, I wish I could remember.
Was it in 6/8? Song you're thinking of?
I believe it was one of those like waltzy kind of songs. 6/8 is like a waltz, right?
I'm trying to think of,
because I think you had him play it for us.
Everything's
when we came
changed. That's the name. That's I don't know if that's the name of the song.
Yeah, that's. I mean, so much of that too is the players, like, and just with groups like that, I'm just trying to not get in the way.
Yeah,
it's like capture it in a flattering light, but like 90% of that is just like really great performances and like cool decisions on the players' part.
Yeah, man.
Do you try?
Jordan Stanley's playing drums on that, and I remember there's like this this really long pregnant pause before one of the choruses, and it's like he just does this really masterful thing where he makes you wait just like a little longer than you expected, and then when it hits you, like, oh, it's like getting kicked in the chest.
Smacks you. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Do you try to get as much stuff when you're doing a band? Do you try to get as much live together as you can? I mean, I would imagine that's probably.
And it's similar to what I was talking about with the process I use with John Marvel, where it's I try to record everything in a way that it could be keeper if it's good enough, you know. But if we need to replace it, we can without too many issues. So that's usually like getting guitar amps in separate rooms, and like. Vocals are almost always like in the room with the drums, so like unless they're really good, we're almost always replacing them.
Yeah. Do you have I would imagine, I mean, I know you used to, so I imagine you still do, like have guys you call, you have like your studio musician roster of people that you can get in when you need somebody to.
For sure. And I think that's another big part of the value that I bring to projects is like I kind of know
you got those connections.
Would, you know, like whose wheelhouse this particular feel is going to be in, and like who, you know, and then developing a rapport with those people. So like when they come in, they know what I like, and you know, like when Jordan Stanley comes in on a session, like I really don't have to direct him anymore, because I mean I never really had to give him too much direction. He's got like instincts, you know, which is why I call him. But he also knows what makes me, you know, excited.
Yeah.
He knows generally what I'm going for. So
he's just got to hang on for a half a second longer.
I remember coming.
Shea will be like, "Fuck yeah!"
I was recording a song called "Less Is More," which you can hear on Spotify. But
it's a good tune.
Yeah, it's a good one. And I went out to get us.
You should re-record some of your stuff with Shea, because you've got some good.
I know.
Really
I need to.
Songs.
I just kind of, it all fell off when I started.
You ever heard Mike's song "My Car's Getting Better"?
Yeah,
dude,
it's on that record.
Such cool song.
It's basically done. Like most of that stuff.
You did record that. With
I think
Shea.
done. I just it needs to be
recorded with me.
Okay.
Yeah, that was another problem. I had done a bunch of it with another guy, and I was trying to keep as much as I could, and I think some of that stuff, I mean, Shea did an amazing job trying to work with these previous tracks, and you know, it was a lot to ask, and he had to like sort through like this other person's projects, you know, and stuff. So it was just, I think looking back, it's like I think I should have just started over with you and probably or whatever, but anyway, back to the Jordan thing. I went out to get us coffees, and he was at the what's that place called? Rise Up. And we were chatting or whatever, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I'll just come swing by or whatever." And I think I was getting ready to like re-record a bunch. I don't know. I was gonna do a bunch of stuff to this song, like to try to like, you know, give it some contour,
make it sound good.
Yeah, basically. And he was like just sitting there, and he's like, "What if you just took the bass out like in the first verse and chorus or something, and like don't let the bass come in till this one point." And it like totally fixed all the things I was like, I had all these percussion lines and all this stuff, and he's like, "No, just take the bass out in the beginning and like put it in." And
it's amazing what like removing some things like strategically like that, how it can.
Yeah, I mean, and I've always thought I was pretty good at that, but I was like, it was just like, whoa, I don't know, that didn't cross my mind. Sometimes it's easier to do on someone else's stuff too, you know, when you're
not married to any of the ideas.
But you get to look at it or listen to it totally objectively, you know. It's not your own stuff.
It was he just came in off the street just to hang out, you know, and was like, and I was like, man, I should be paying you for this really great advice, you know. Why didn't Shea think of that? No, I'm just kidding.
But that's what sets apart like a really great studio musician from like a great performer on stage, you know. That like all the really good session players that I work with, they're producers in their own right. They may not be doing it like regularly as a practice, but like when they're in the session, they're thinking about it in the same way I am.
Yeah.
They're looking at the big picture and trying to think like, what does the song need? And then working from there versus like, what kind of drum part can I write?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of guitar part can I write? They're thinking, what drum part does the song need?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's interesting. How often do you end up playing on people's recordings, like where you're like, yeah, it needs, what if we try this part, and the person's like, well, I don't know how to play the fucking xylophone or whatever, and you're like, well, I could do it.
I end up playing on most records,
Yeah.
at least like a little bit. Some records a lot a bit, but it generally it depends on whether or not they've got the budget for a session player or two. And sometimes I end up just doing it, you know, they won't ask me to do it, but I'll just be like, this needs this. And
So when they leave, you just
budget to hire somebody. So I'm just going to do it because I want to hear it, you know. So a lot of times I end up doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't charge them for it. I'm just like, this is just for me because I want to hear it on there, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's probably good business practice in the long run.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, because in the end, they're going to come back for the next project if they're happy with the one you're working on.
So we haven't asked any like strictly business related questions, and this is supposed to be an entrepreneurship business podcast.
I think
guess.
it's still developing. I don't think we really know what this podcast is yet. But
well, to be honest,
the original thought.
Mike said maybe like 4 or 5 episodes ago that the shift was referring to the shift from a 9 to 5 to working for yourself.
Yeah.
And that had never even crossed my mind. I was like, oh, it is. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
What did you think it was?
I was thinking like the shift, like you go to work and you work a shift. Like that's where the shift, you know, this is our shift. We're working right now.
I guess it's 8 hours long.
Yeah.
It's 8 hours long.
Punch the clock on the wall.
Exactly. Man, now I forgot what I was talking about, Mike. What the hell did I just say?
Entrepreneurial.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I gotta go to the bathroom.
So,
No,
are you serious?
I really do.
Oh my God. Well, move. That's fine, I guess.
Hear you from the other room.
All right. So, this is really polished, isn't it?
Yeah.
No. So the question I was going to ask is like, you mentioned that Jess, your wife, her name is Jess, does a lot of like that administrative kind of stuff for you. But I'm sure that you still do some business related things for your own business. So like, what are some business related things, entrepreneurship things that you have learned over the years, that you might give advice to someone who is starting to work for themselves, you know, in any industry, no matter what their business is?
I can kind of speak to like some of the strategy things that worked out for me.
Yeah.
I've always tried to avoid taking out debt.
Okay.
Which is like hard to do in a lot of businesses. And like, I mean, certain businesses it's unavoidable, but
right.
You know, I've seen people like take out huge business loans to build a studio,
right?
Or like consider taking out huge student loans or business loans to build. And like the only reason that I've been able to survive is I've always kept my overhead super duper low.
Yeah.
So,
which I'm sure is very difficult to do with a studio full of equipment.
I mean, yeah, but I've been lucky, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of it's luck, honestly. Like I found a space that was super duper cheap in a building that like nobody was renting in, you know, and that was a lot of luck there. But a lot of it was also just like kind of being conservative with my risk taking and just jumping on opportunity when it presents itself and trying to be prepared to be able to take that jump when it presents itself. But I've always tried to avoid getting into like serious debt because, I mean, ultimately it's just scary too.
Yeah. Well, like, it's a dangerous place to be.
But it gives you flexibility, and so if something happens, like you know, you can react a little faster sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's great advice. Like general advice, even to somebody who's not running a business. Absolutely. But yeah, I know Mike agrees with that advice. Yeah. I have not taken that advice for sure. I've got some debt that I could have avoided. How about like specific to recording studios? Like if someone is like, hey, you know, I've been watching a bunch of YouTube videos and I've got a pretty good grasp on this. And
buy Pro Tools. Don't use Reaper because it's free. Free is not good. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, how about like recording studio specific advice?
Don't pay to go to audio school.
It's free on YouTube.
It's basically free on YouTube. And honestly, like all of this important lessons will be learned in the field.
Mm-hmm.
Like you learn all your lessons by doing it badly. And then you do it badly until you have learned how to not do it badly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you just have to do it for free for a long time. And you have to also be like, if you're not going to be doing it anyway, regardless of whether or not you're getting paid, then it's probably not the right job for you.
Yeah. That's good. That's a good point. Yeah.
I was doing it for free because it was the only thing I wanted to do, and then I eventually found a way to get paid for it to justify all the time I was spending on it.
Yeah.
Do you think that like that kind of works out when you're like a teenager, right? It's like understandable like that you're going to give these services for free and then it might not be great. But like if you're 40 years old and you're like offering free recordings because you suck at it, like who's going to come to you? You know what I mean? Like
friends.
Okay.
There's always a market for like
somebody.
Recording.
Yeah.
Klosky.
Shut up, Joe. I totally would have.
You're like free? I'll be there.
And I actually get a lot of projects that have gone through the hands of like somebody who was doing it for free at some point, and like the artist will eventually, they might not like how it's going and they'll come to me to fix it. They'll come to me to redo it, but like that person still got to practice, working on it, and nobody's going to hire you for money if you've never done anything.
Yeah, it's a tough. It's a tough.
So you have to build a portfolio first, and the best way to do that is to do it for free. And like, if you can be making money, like generally you got to bake your money somewhere else, and then do this for free until you get good enough that people want to pay you for it.
You got to design some shoes at New Balance while you're doing free work.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you weren't necessarily like you were getting experience as a teenager, but you also did it for free after you were out of college or whatever.
When I came back to Easton, like when I left the design field, I moved back to Easton, and I was getting all my money from working in a warehouse and like running sound at Nightcat.
Yeah,
and I was making enough to like, scrape by, and the only I only switched over to charging for my services as, recording services was just when I had enough people asking that I couldn't keep up with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then it's like, well, I got to start charging now.
Yeah.
But even then it felt super weird to me to start asking for money.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a big
KJ
step.
was like, you need to start charging. And I was like, I guess so.
Yeah. It's a weird thing,
Yeah.
And raising rates is an uncomfortable thing too.
Really hard.
Yeah.
I worked for 40 an hour for like, 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
And then I've like gradually raised it to try to keep up with interest, because one of my clients who's primarily a businessman, he does music as like a passion project. He'd been working with me for like 4 or 5 years at this point. And he's like, you haven't raised your rates yet. And I'm like, no. And he's like, you should raise them because cost of living goes up like 5% every year.
Yeah.
And so like, if you're not keeping up with that, you're like taking a cut.
Right.
And I was like, shit, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a weird thing, man. I mean, I remember when I first went to you in 2014 or whatever. And I remember even then I was expecting it to be much more expensive than $40 an hour. And when you told me that, I was like, man, I'm going to record like 3 albums. No, I didn't have any money, but I still thought it was very reasonable.
So that goes hand in hand with the strategy of keeping your overhead low, because I could only do that because my studio rent was like $300 a month, and I was like living in a house with my friend, and he was only charging me like another $300 or $400 a month. So my living expenses were super low.
Yeah.
And so I could undercut all the competition and still make enough money to get by. But eventually you do want to be making a comfortable living. So, you have to, and as you get better, your demand for your services goes up.
Yeah. You have to have a way to say no in a way. Like,
well, it's like your thumb on the fire hose, it's like when you start feeling like you're getting buried in work, then it's time to raise your prices a little bit. And you'll have some people who are like, oh, it's too expensive. But then you'll still have some people who will want to work with you. And then you're still working the same amount, but you're making more money.
Yeah. Or you work less and you make the same amount of money.
Yeah, exactly.
The other thing that I've heard, and I've had like a little bit of experience with it, but I've heard this from some people who are more business savvy than me, is that, you know, those people that are willing to pay more are much easier to work with, like generally speaking.
100%.
I've had a little bit of experience with that. You know, the one thing that comes to mind, I did a wedding last year, and it was really one of my first weddings, but it was kind of far away. She wanted like, you know, the full package and everything. So, and I was like talking with a guy who's kind of like my mentor about, you know, well, what do I charge her? You know, and he was like, well, I mean, for something like that, I would charge like $6,500. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. Like, I'm not going to tell her $6,500. So I ended up telling her $4,000, which was still, I was so nervous, like telling her that, because I'm thinking she's going to laugh at me and never talk to me again. She was like, okay, yeah, that's great. And was like the best client ever. Totally thrilled with what I gave her, was very patient with me, you know, just the nicest. That could have just been her personality, but, you know, but on the other hand, some of the people who want to nickel and dime you to death are, you know, they want like all these revisions. They want you to, you know, stretch yourself thin, and it's crazy.
And there are some people that you will never be happy no matter what you do.
That's true.
You know, and you'll run yourself out of energy trying to please them.
Mm-hmm. It also reminds me of, Mike, you told me a while back you were trying to sell something on like eBay or something.
Amazon,
Amazon, and you put it up and it was like a reasonable price and you got nobody bit on it, and then you just decided to raise the price and then it sold. You know?
I do that all the time with stuff on when I sold on Amazon. Yeah, it was a strategy.
Interesting.
But I've noticed that with gigs too. I mean, it's like, you know, you get the bottom price gigs. It's like, oh, no food, and like your breaks are got to be this long and all. And then like it's like the gigs that pay a lot. It's like, well, can we get you a drink? Can we get you some food? Like what? Oh, take a break. You know, relax. Come hang. You know, it's like a totally different thing.
It's wild how that works. You know.
Well, you were asking earlier like how many projects get finished.
Yeah.
And early on when I was charging $40 a month or $40 an hour,
$40 a month.
Back in the Middle Ages when I was
$4 were a thing.
When I was charging $40 an hour, like I would get a lot more clients that would be really flaky, and you know, they wouldn't be super serious about it, or you know, and like not only was the rate of incomplete projects higher, but the rate of projects that just like made me want to pull all my hair out was way higher. And as I've raised my rates, it's more and more people who are like really serious about what they're doing. And those are always better clients to work with.
Yeah, that's an amazing thing. You know, I should try to take my own advice with that. It's such a weird thing, like setting rates. You know, I guess I don't want to say I mean, you've been in business for yourself a lot longer than I have, but so over the years you know, like you said, you're much better at like gauging, okay, this particular project's probably going to take this amount of time.
It took me like 10 years to figure that out.
Yeah, I'm sure it did.
And I still get it wrong sometimes.
Right. I was going to ask you, you know, what's the percentage of how often do you get that right, but you kind of answered that question anyway.
Most of the time I get it wrong, to be honest.
Really? Yeah.
But it's a matter of like not getting it too wrong.
You're in the ballpark most of the time.
Usually in the ballpark. And if I go over, it's usually because it's just me being self-indulgent and like spending more time on something than I ought to, because I think if I just spend a little more time for free, it'll just be a little bit better and I'll be happier with it. You know?
Dude, I totally get that too. I mean, not only are you happier with it, but I mean, you're going the extra mile, which as my consumer brain, I want someone like that. You know, I want someone who is going to put a little bit extra time into it, even if you're not getting compensated, you know, completely equally for it. I mean, I think any consumer wants that, you know.
And for me, it pays off in the long run too, because the people who, you know, if your client sees that you're really doing it because you want the project to be great, and like the money is secondary, like, and if they have a great experience, they'll tell their friends. And 100% of my business is word of mouth. So like making sure that the product that people leave with, like making sure they're happy with it and making sure it's like represents me in a good light.
Yeah.
That's everything. So it's often worth it to me to put in some free work to make sure that like down the road their friends see it and go, where did you do that? Or listen to it.
Right. It's an interesting thing when your business is recording someone else's art, because
you're tied to their
right, but it's like two art forms are being combined. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of an interesting thing.
It is,
and I can relate to that because when I'm doing a video for an artist like Mike.
No, I know who you were thinking.
No, I really wasn't. I mean,
yeah,
but I do listen to the music, right? Obviously, I would rather do a video for an artist that I think is good.
Right.
But at the same time, like when I am editing that video and color grading the video and mixing the audio to go with the video, I'm looking at that product, not... I mean,
not the subject matter.
Not the subject matter as much. I mean, I am, obviously, but I'm looking at my product. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's you want that to be good. You know?
Totally.
No matter how good the artist is. I mean, I did a bunch of videos for Mike Waske, if you can believe it.
Thumbs down.
No,
but I mean, at the end of the day, like once you've gone so far into a project, you've already spent all this time. Maybe this is the lost cost fallacy, but you spent so much time on it, you might as well like put that extra little 5% at the end to make sure that you didn't waste all that time.
Right. No, I totally agree. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's like to be dependent on the customer's willingness to spend money is affecting you, what it looks like you're able to produce, like, because if they're not willing to pay for the time it takes to mix it correctly or whatever, right? And then it's like, now it looks like you don't know how to mix or something.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like, that's a problem.
Yeah. I've had projects like that where it's like I send off the rough mixes and they're like, cool, put it on Spotify. I'm like, ooh, no, not yet.
Yeah.
Let's pump the brakes and make sure that these sound like good enough. But some people, they have different standards and different things they're listening for. And like, it's rough when I'm like, oh, I don't think this meets my standard yet, but they're willing to put it out.
That's another interesting thing. I've had a similar situation where I just put together a rough edit and a rough color grade, and I sent it to somebody so they could. I kind of stopped doing that because I had one instance where I sent it to the person and they were like, yep, that's great. And I was like, I'm not done with that. Like, I just did a real quick edit here. I love it. I want it to look just like that. And I'm like, again, I'm not finished. So then I finished and I made it, I delivered the final product and they wanted it to look like that super rough edit.
Oh no,
and
they were in love with the...
Yeah, I didn't know. I shouldn't have sent you that because that was just a real quick... I was trying to do you a favor so you could see it ahead of time and hear it, but I had to stop doing that because
Maybe you're wrong, Joe.
Maybe, but maybe so what? I want it to be how I want it to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're invested.
I want to see these two things.
Yeah,
I want to see them side by side.
I'm not going to drop any names either, but it was one of the first things I did, and I was like, man, why did I send that? Because that it looked good, but it wasn't how I wanted it to look finally. You know what I mean? So
you're never going to find a YouTube video about that, though. About like, hey, these are the reasons you shouldn't send rough mixes or rough cuts to a client. Like, here's how you make that decision.
You're not going to learn that in school either.
Yeah, and that's
why we're doing this.
Those
podcast.
are the things that you like learn from just doing it over and over. All those, there's like a million of those little lessons that you learn. And there's no way to like teach all of that.
No, there's not. So do you send rough mixes now?
I'll do a rough mix after the tracking session, and I won't do any. I'll try to avoid doing any editing to it. I try to send it just how it is, just so because everybody wants to listen to what they just did on the drive home.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's usually that, and then I try to avoid sending anything else unless there's like a big decision to be made, and I'm like, hey, I could do it this way or this way. What do you think? Or I've got it to a point where I think it's potentially a keeper mix, you know?
Yeah.
And that'll be mix one that I'll send to them. And then I'll get notes if they have any and make the notes. But like, I try not to like share too much until I've got like all of the editing, like pitch correction, if I'm going to do any of that, and like at least somewhat of a mix, like all the creative decisions.
Yeah,
you know.
I knew the answer to that question actually, because the Chris Hanman video that we did, we shot that video to the rough mix. We were playing the you know, the unfinished mix, and he was, you know, he did a good job of making me aware, like, hey, this is not the final, you know, but we're not going to change anything. It just
the timing isn't going to change.
Timing's not going to change. So I was like, yeah, that's fine. We can totally use that. And then when Shea's finished, he sends it to you, you send it to me, and I'll be able to just drop it right in. Yeah. You know, and that worked really well.
Now, on his record, we did, that was a good example of a record where he came in with just wanting to do acoustic guitar and vocal. And now we've like ended up like hiring a string quartet to come in and stuff. And so with that, I wrote all the string arrangements, you know, before the players came in. I wrote them all by just like singing the lines, because I can't play strings, and like I'm not fluent enough on the keyboard to like, you know, do it with like a MIDI thing. Right. It's more of a headache. So I would just sing the parts, you know, and then like pitch shift them to put them in the range of whatever, like violin or viola or cello.
Right. Oh, that's cool.
And so I would send him like drafts of that, just to be like, is this the direction you think? You know, does this seem right? You know?
Yeah.
But that's more of just like showing him, like demonstrating an idea.
Because you guys aren't in the studio at the same time.
MIDI strings or your voice?
My voice.
Okay, really.
So just like 4 layers. And I've tried to think of
that would have been funny if he was like, I love it, let's use this. Yeah. Like, no.
I mean, we almost actually did leave some of them in a couple spots, because it's like, they just sound really cool as they are. Yeah. Because, you know, after I'd like melodined them to death, they didn't even really sound like voices. Right. It's like, what is that?
What is that? Interesting.
But yeah, I just approached it kind of like, you know, if you were playing it on one instrument, you can only play one note at a time, like you're singing, you know. So just sing it, you know.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting thing. I'm sure that's like something else that you kind of learned over time, right?
I actually, it was Jess's idea, because I was like fucking around on a MIDI keyboard and just like spending a lot of time just trying to like play it right. And I wasn't able to like step back and think about. It was like the Jurassic Park thing. Like I asked if I could play it, not if I should play it.
Right. Yeah.
Then Jess was like, "Why don't you just sing it?" And then I tried it, and I was like, "Oh, this is so much easier." Yeah. It's like you're removing that translation step.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, what are like, what are some exciting projects you've got going on now?
Well, Chris's record. I just did a record with, or I just mixed a record. I guess we finished mixing it at the end of last year with a friend of mine from high school. He was the bassist in my band in high school, but now he's out and about in the world. He like moves all over the place, but he recorded a record.
Is that Teen?
Teen, yeah. Teen Viet Nguyen. Okay. I'm probably not saying that quite right. It's a Vietnamese name that I have trouble pronouncing properly, but he tracked it. Most of the songs are tracked in Brazil, and then like a handful of them are tracked in Bulgaria.
It's cool.
With these 2 different bands, like he's spent time living in both places, and so he's like got a group of musicians that he works with in both places, and so the sound is all over the place, but it was all done really well, and his songwriting is just next level cool. And that's coming out later this year, I think.
Okay. That sounds interesting. Like what kind of, how would you describe it?
It reminds me a little bit of like, what's the guy's name? It's like neo soul kind of D'Angelo, and with like some Stevie Wonder in there. It's really, he's got a really cool like airy voice, but with like a lot of control. And he does a lot of really cool jazz voicings and stuff.
Right.
It's really cool stuff. He's actually the guy who gave me this mic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Where? Oh, that's from Latvia.
Latvia, yeah.
Okay. Right. I'll bet that is so cool to just have like amazing musicians like come in and you just get to like sit there and listen to them and record them and work with them. That's got to be a really cool thing.
It's very. I'm very lucky that I get to do that.
Yeah. I'm always. I mean, I'm just barely a musician. Mike says I am, but I don't agree. Yeah. But so I've always been into music, but seeing and hearing a really talented musician, it's just such a cool thing, man. It really is.
It can be humbling too.
Oh, very. It's always humbling for me, but it really it's one of those things. If it's something that I really enjoy, where you just tune everything else out, like you're just focused on that. And it's such a cool experience.
How much do you play and write nowadays? Like, do you still?
I haven't done a lot of writing recently. I'm trying to get back into the writing. I end up writing a lot of parts for other stuff.
Absolutely.
Like most records, I'll play at least one thing somewhere in the process.
Yeah.
Some records I'm playing all the instruments, and so like I get to do a lot of writing on a part basis there.
Right.
I've been playing bass in a band in DC called The House You Grew Up In.
Oh yeah, I was thinking your mom was telling me about that or something. I saw her at that pizza joint last summer.
Yeah, so I've been that's most of the performance I've been doing has been with them, just playing bass, which is like a great like the perfect level of commitment for me right now, because all I got to do is show up with my bass, and they use the house PA usually, or the house back line, and don't have to write any songs, don't have to write any emails, you know what I mean?
Beautiful.
Just write single note
bass lines. I always loved playing bass. Like it's a fun thing, or just anything that's not like the front thing. It's always a good experience.
Bass particularly, I feel like I always say it's like solving a Sudoku, because you have to, you want to do something interesting here and there, but you also have to provide a stable foundation for everything else.
Yeah.
It's constantly walking this line of like trying not to overplay, but also trying not to underplay.
Yeah. Totally, man. And connecting the chord tones, just trying to
rhythm. Yeah.
Yep.
It's cool. You have a foot in each world, in the rhythmic and harmonic.
Yeah. Cool, man. Yeah. The House You Grew Up In. We'll have to check that out.
Yeah. They've got a record.
I like that name.
Joe's going to put a link in the description.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I will.
We just put out a record that we recorded at my place.
Okay.
It's called Unlikely Shades Of.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Who are some artists that you would love to work with? Like that you would love to have come to Sweetfoot,
even if they're like famous or whatever, like just any artist.
Oh man, I would love to work with Deerhoof.
Deerhoof. I have not heard.
They're one of my favorite bands.
Okay.
But they're
I've heard of Deer Tick, but not Deer.
Go out of their way to be as weird as possible, and I dig that.
Okay. I'll have to check that out.
There's another guy, Baseku Koyate, who's he's a musician from Mali that plays this instrument called the ngoni. It's like it's like an ancestor of the banjo, but it's like this little 4-string instrument that has like gut strings and a goat hide top.
Okay.
But it's become kind of a like common thing over there to put like an electric pickup on it and play it through effects pedals and stuff.
Oh, interesting.
And, there's like something about that music that's so fundamentally different than the way we approach music here, and it's I like stumbled across it on like Pandora or something like years ago, and it just stuck with me, and I've gotten really fascinated with it because it's just so different than what I'm used to.
Right.
But I think he'd be really fun to work with, because he's one of those musicians that you can tell all the recordings of him are just like a mic in the room with him. But everybody in the band is so used to playing, with no microphones, that they just kind of mix themselves. And I don't know. It's a very cool
Do you have an idea of how you would record something like that?
I think so.
Yeah.
You know, you treat it almost like a bluegrass band, you know, where it's a bunch of acoustic instruments that have to be in a room together. Line of sight and proximity would be kind of like non-negotiable, you know. And you'd have to, I think, try to do it realistically. I don't think his approach involves like a lot of overdubs or anything. I'm sure it's just totally live and
Yeah.
Condenser mics and close mics and room mics.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll remember. Well, I'll remember because I'll
send you a
listen
text,
back.
yeah.
But Deerhoof, that's kind of hard to forget.
Yeah, they're fun to watch. If you ever get to see them live, they're like, their drummer is like super tall and plays this little tiny kit and just like
That's fun.
their lead singer is this little Japanese lady who plays plays bass and sings, and she has all these weird dance moves that I don't know. I can't really do it any justice through description.
I gotcha. Just got to check it out.
Yeah.
I do have one more burning question. Where did you get the name Sweetfoot Studios? Like, where did that come from?
I'm glad you asked, because I think it's a terrible name, and I'm always
I like it.
I hope people don't think it's like a weird like fetish thing.
Well, Joe, I'm into feet.
Funny story. When I was working with Brooks Long on that first record, that, like basically provided the money for the first month of rent. The day that I met Brooks, we met at one of KJ's friends' houses, and we had an acoustic guitar, and he was just playing some of the songs for me that he wanted to record, and we ended up just recording it on my, just setting my phone down and recording what he was playing, and it kind of devolved into like KJ and him just fucking around and improvising on stuff, and they like to go back and forth doing like James Brown impressions.
Okay.
I think they went to college together, so they have all these like running jokes, but one of them is doing there's the Eddie Murphy bit where he's like spoofing James Brown, and they do the hot tub, in the hot tub. Yeah, so they're doing that, and then they just started like improvising verses, and one of the verses was like, gotta put it on the Sweetfoot, put the sugar on the toast. Like that was, that was the improvised line.
Okay.
For some reason that stuck with me, and when I was looking for names, that was the only phrase that didn't have Google hits. So I went with that because if you Google it, I would be the first thing that came up.
That's the only thing that came up, yeah.
Everything else I came up with, somebody else was like above me on the Google list.
That's a good business move right there.
Yeah, yeah.
A little tidbit of information. I like the name. I think it's cool. It's
memorable.
It is memorable. It's unique. I don't know of anything else called Sweetfoot. I've never heard that line.
And like Sweetwater is a very musical related thing in our brain, so it's kind of like got, I don't know. I always thought of it as like Sweetwater. I don't know.
Well, I'm glad that that's where your mind went.
Yeah.
Like music related in that way with the Sweetwater.
Music is sweet.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, we are running about out of time. You said that most of your business is through word of mouth, but let's say that somebody is listening to this on Apple Podcasts, because we are now on Apple Podcasts, by the way. And they're like, man, I want to work with that guy. How do they get in touch with you? How do they find you?
Just email me. That's the most direct way to do it. So Shea, SHEA, at Sweetfoot Studios, plural.com.
Plural.
Studios.com.
Awesome. Do you have a website?
I do, but it's old and out of date.
Okay.
I think it still lists my prices like $40 on there, which is not the case.
You delete that.
That's not the case. Yeah. I'm much more expensive
Times 4.
One other question, and that's kind of supposed to be the end, but if you can answer this quickly, your Facebook profile picture is like a dude with a big eyeball or something. Where'd that come from?
I Google image searches like in like 2004.
Nothing is deep with Shea.
And at this point, I've committed to like keeping that profile picture till I die.
I think it's
wanna
great.
see
Yeah,
it
I like that.
Facebook crumbles, and I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Oh yeah, there's that guy with the eye.
Yep.
If you want to zoom in on that, there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like it's just a big eyeball head. Yeah.
Yep.
There's also a picture of Shea doing stuff though. Look at that.
Oh yeah, look at me.
That's
Wearing
a cool
headphones.
shot right there.
Yeah.
I just took that.
In the mix. I want to shout out to Jess. She's got very good claps.
She does.
I don't know if
Good
you remember
claps.
doing. Yeah.
On KJ's record, Diamond Eyes has very prominent claps.
Okay.
That's just
Oh, like rhythmic claps. Okay. Not like
And at the end
applause.
of Less is More, I'm pretty sure it was Less is More that she clapped on.
basically any record that I've worked on that has claps. It's her.
Yeah.
That's who you go to.
When she records them, if you look at the waveform,
They're very-
all the exact
They're
height, and they're all like
It's like the way you want a snare drum. Yeah.
yeah.
She has consistent clapping.
Yeah, I don't know how she does it,
I
but
think you were like,
amazing.
Jess is here. Do you want any claps on your record? And I was like, I don't know. Let's try it.
it's become a thing now. Yeah, I wait till she's home to do the claps.
I've got a better clapper. Hold off on the claps. We got a better one coming. Oh man,
clapping guy.
that's awesome. Well, Shea, I've got a million more questions, but we'll have to ask next time.
Yeah.
You know.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for
Bursky.
coming out, man.
Thanks for having me. This was great.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Next time we'll super nerd out on like all kinds of technical
man.
stuff.
I'll get as nerdy as you will let me.
Awesome. All right, dude. Well, thanks again.
Yeah,
We'll see you next time. We wave at the cameras when we sign off.
I wave it. We wave at each other's cameras.
We should do that instead.
Yeah.
That would be pretty funny.
That would be pretty funny. Okay.
Cool.